Amaranthus, collectively known as Amaranth, is a cosmopolitan genus of annual or short-lived perennial plants. Some amaranth species are cultivated as leaf vegetables, cereals, and ornamental plants. Most of the species from Amaranthus are summer-annual weeds and are commonly referred to as pigweed. Catkin-like cymes of densely packed flowers grow in summer or autumn. Approximately 60 species are recognized, with inflorescences and foliage ranging from purple and red to green or gold. Members of this genus share many characteristics and uses with members of the closely related genus Celosia. Amaranth derives from Greek ¼ euro I1/4 II plus or minus I1/2 III, unfading, with the Greek word for flower, ¼ I1/2 III, factoring into the word's development as amaranth. The more accurate amarant is an archaic variant. Taxonomy. Amaranthus shows a wide variety of morphological diversity among and even within certain species. Although the family is distinctive, the genus has few distinguishing characters among the 70 species included. This complicates taxonomy, and Amaranthus has generally been considered among systematists as a difficult genus. Formally, Sauer classified the genus into two subgenera, differentiating only between monoecious and dioecious species, Achnida Allen XKR Robertson and Amaranthus. Although this classification was widely accepted, further infrageneric classification was needed to differentiate this widely diverse group. Currently, Amaranthus includes 3 recognized subgenera and 70 species, although species numbers are questionable due to hybridization and species concepts. Infrageneric classification focuses on inflorescence, flower characters, and whether a species is monoecious dioecious, as in the Sauer-suggested classification. A modified infrageneric classification of Amaranthus was published by Mosiakin and Robertson and includes 3 subgenera, Achnida, Amaranthus, and Albergia. The taxonomy is further differentiated by sections within each of the subgenera. Species include human uses. History. Known to the Aztecs as Huautli, it is thought to have represented up to 80% of their caloric consumption before the conquest. Another important use of amaranth throughout Mesoamerica was to prepare ritual drinks and foods. To this day, amaranth grains are toasted much like popcorn and mixed with honey, molasses or chocolate to make a treat called alegría, meaning joy in Spanish. Diego Duran described the festivities for Huitzilopochtli, whose name means hummingbird of the left side, or left-handed hummingbird. The Aztec month of Panquetzaltli was dedicated to Huitzilopochtli. People decorated their homes and trees with paper flags. There were ritual races, processions, dances, songs, prayers, and finally human sacrifices. This was one of the more important Aztec festivals, and the people prepared for the whole month. They fasted or ate very little. A statue of the god was made out of amaranth seeds and honey, and at the end of the month, it was cut into small pieces so everybody could eat a little piece of the god. After the Spanish conquest, cultivation of amaranth was outlawed, while some of the festivities were subsumed into the Christmas celebration. Because of its importance as a symbol of indigenous culture, its gluten-free palatability, ease of cooking, and a protein that is particularly well suited to human nutritional needs, interest in grain amaranth revived in the 1970s. It was recovered in Mexico from wild varieties and is now commercially cultivated. It is a popular snack sold in Mexico, sometimes mixed with chocolate or puffed rice, and its use has spread to Europe and parts of North America. Amaranth and quinoa are called pseudograins because of their flavor and cooking similarities to grains. Amaranth seed. Several species are raised for amaranth grain in Asia and the Americas. Ancient amaranth grains still used to this day include the 3 species, Amaranthus caudatus, Amaranthus cryentus, and Amaranthus hypochondriacus. Although amaranth was cultivated on a large scale in ancient Mexico, Guatemala, and Peru, nowadays it is only cultivated on a small scale there, along with India, China, Nepal, and other tropical countries. Thus, there is potential for further cultivation in those countries, as well as in the U.S. In a 1977 article in Science, amaranth was described as the crop of the future. It has been proposed as an inexpensive native crop that could be cultivated by indigenous people in rural areas for several reasons. It is easily harvested. Its seeds are a good source of protein. Compared to other grains, amaranth is unusually rich in the essential amino acid lysine. Common grains such as wheat and corn are comparatively rich in amino acids that amaranth lacks. Thus, amaranth and other grains can complement each other. The seeds of Amaranthus species contain about 30% more protein than cereals like rice, sorghum and rye. In cooked and edible forms, amaranth is competitive with wheat, germ and oats, higher in some nutrients, lower in others. It is easy to cook. As befits its weedy life history, amaranth grains grow very rapidly and their large seed heads can weigh up to 1 kilogram and contain 500,000 seeds in 3 species of amaranth. Amaranth seed flour. Amaranth seed flour has been evaluated as an additive to wheat flour by food specialists. To determine palatability, different levels of amaranth grain flour were mixed with the wheat flour and baking ingredients, fermented, molded, pan-proofed and baked. The baked products were evaluated for low volume, moisture content, color, odor, taste and texture. The amaranth-containing products were then compared with bread made from 100% wheat flour. The low volume decreased by 40% and the moisture content increased from 22 to 42% with increase in amaranth grain flour. The study found that the sensory scores of the taste, odor, color and texture decreased with increasing amounts of amaranth. Generally, above 15% amaranth grain flour, there were significant differences in the evaluated sensory qualities and the high amaranth-containing product was found to be of unacceptable palatability to the population sample that evaluated the baked products. Leaves, roots, and stems. Amaranth species are cultivated and consumed as a leaf vegetable in many parts of the world. There are 4 species of Amaranthus documented as cultivated vegetables in Eastern Asia: Amaranthus cryentus, Amaranthus blightum, Amaranthus dubius, and Amaranthus tricolor. In Indonesia and Malaysia, leaf amaranth is called bayam. In the Philippines, the Ilocano word for the plant is kaloni. The Tagalog word for the plant is culitus or culitus. In the state of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar in India, it is called chorlai and is a popular green leafy vegetable. It is called kwa in Kumaon area of Uttarakhand, where it is a popular red-green vegetable. In Karnataka state in India, it is called harive. It is used to prepare curries like kali, palya, majagahili and so on. In the state of Kerala, it is called chira and is consumed by stir-frying the leaves with spices and red chilies to make chira thoran. In Tamil Nadu state, it is called AAAA, a registered trademark a Euro AA, and is regularly consumed as a favorite dish, where the greens are steamed and mashed with light seasoning of salt, red chilies and cumin. It is called kirai majal. In Andhra Pradesh this leaf is added in preparation of a popular dal called thotakura papu a degree plus or minus sha degree y a degree a plus or minus a degree plus or minus a degree plus or minus. In Maharashtra, it is called Shravani Marv, and it is available in both red and white color. In Orissa, it is called Kheda saga. It is used to prepare saga bhaja, in which the leaf is fried with chilies and onions. The root of mature amaranth is a popular vegetable. It is white and cooked with tomatoes or tamarind gravy. It has a milky taste and is alkaline. In China, the leaves and stems are used as a stir-fry vegetable, or in soups, and called eea with variations in various dialects. Amaranth greens are believed to help enhance eyesight. In Vietnam, it is called rau da en and is used to make soup. There are 2 species popular as edible vegetable in Vietnam, da en Amaranthus tricolor and da en kiem or da en tra ng Amaranthus viridis. A traditional food plant in Africa, amaranth has the potential to improve nutrition, boost food security, foster rural development and support sustainable land care. In East Africa, amaranth leaf is known in Chua as bonongwi, and in Swahili as makicha, as terra in Kikuyu, Meru and Embu, and as telial in Kamba. In Bantu regions of Uganda it is known as dudo. it is recommended by some doctors for people having low red blood cell count. It is also known among the Kalenjin as a drought crop. In Lingala, it is known as Legalinga or bar teku teku. In Nigeria, it is a common vegetable and goes with all Nigerian starch dishes. It is known in Yoruba as ifo tet or oromo jija. In the Caribbean, the leaves are called baji in Trinidad and callaloo in Jamaica, and are stewed with onions, garlic and tomatoes, or sometimes used in a soup called pepper pot soup. In Greece, green amaranth is a popular dish and is called I2II registered trademark II plus or minus, liter or vliter. It is boiled, then served with olive oil and lemon juice like a salad, sometimes alongside fried fish. Greeks stop harvesting the plant when it starts to bloom at the end of August. In Sri Lanka, it is called korathampala. Sri Lankans cook it and eat it with rice. Fiji Indians call it karaya bhaji. Dyes: the flowers of the Hopi red dye amaranth were used by the Hopi as the source of a deep red dye. There is also a synthetic dye that has been named amaranth for its similarity in color to the natural amaranth pigments known as betalains. This synthetic dye is also known as red number 2 in North America and E123 in the European Union. Ornamentals. The genus also contains several well-known ornamental plants, such as Amaranthus caudatus, a native of India and a vigorous, hardy annual with dark purplish flowers crowded in handsome drooping spikes. Another Indian annual, A. hypochondriacus, has deeply veined lance-shaped leaves, purple on the underface, and deep crimson flowers densely packed on erect spikes. Amaranths are recorded as food plants for some Lepidoptera species including the nutmeg moth and various case-bearer moths of the genus Coleophora, C. amaranthella, C. encada, C. immortalis, C. linea pulvella and C. versicolor. Nutritional value: amaranth greens are a common leaf vegetable throughout the tropics and in many warm temperate regions. C. callaloo, cooked amaranth leaves are a good source of vitamin A, vitamin C, and folate. They are also a complementing source of other vitamins such as thiamine, niacin, and riboflavin, plus some dietary minerals including calcium, iron, potassium, zinc, copper, and manganese. Cooked amaranth grains are a complementing source of thiamine, niacin, riboflavin, and folate, and dietary minerals including calcium, iron, magnesium, phosphorus, zinc, copper, and manganese, comparable to common grains such as wheat germ, oats and others. Amaranth seeds contain lysine, an essential amino acid, limited in other grains or plant sources. Most fruits and vegetables do not contain a complete set of amino acids, and thus different sources of protein must be used. Amaranth too is limited in some essential amino acids, such as leucine and threonine. Amaranth seeds are therefore a promising complement to common grains such as wheat germ, oats, and corn because these common grains are abundant sources of essential amino acids found to be limited in amaranth. Amaranth may be a promising source of protein to those who are gluten sensitive, because unlike the protein found in grains such as wheat and rye, its protein does not contain gluten. According to a 2007 report, amaranth compares well in nutrient content with gluten-free vegetarian options such as buckwheat, corn, millet, wild rice, oats and quinoa. Several studies have shown that like oats, amaranth seed or oil may be of benefit for those with hypertension and cardiovascular disease. Regular consumption reduces blood pressure and cholesterol levels, while improving antioxidant status and some immune parameters. While the active ingredient in oats appears to be water-soluble fiber, amaranth appears to lower cholesterol via its content of plant stanols and squalene. Amaranth remains an active area of scientific research for both human nutritional needs and foraging applications. Over 100 scientific studies suggest a somewhat conflicting picture on possible anti-nutritional and toxic factors in amaranth, more so in some particular strains of amaranth. Lehman, in a review article, identifies some of these reported anti-nutritional factors in amaranth to be phenolics, saponins, tannins, phytic acid, oxalates, protease inhibitors, nitrates, polyphenols and phytohemagglutinins. Of these, oxalates and nitrates are of more concern when amaranth grain is used in foraging applications. Some studies suggest thermal processing of amaranth, particularly in moist environment, prior to its preparation in food and human consumption may be a promising way to reduce the adverse effects of amaranth's anti-nutritional and toxic factors. Ecology: amaranthwood species have an extended period of germination, rapid growth, and high rates of seed production, and have been causing problems for farmers since the mid-1990s. This is partially due to the reduction in tillage, reduction in herbicidal use and the evolution of herbicidal resistance in several species where herbicides have been applied more often. The following 9 species of Amaranthus are considered invasive and noxious weeds in the US and Canada: A. albus, A. blightoides, A. hybridus, A. palmeri, A. paula, A. retroflexus, A. spinosus, A. tuberculatus, and A. viridis. A new herbicide-resistant strain of Amaranthus palmeri has appeared. It is glyphosate-resistant and so cannot be killed by herbicides using the chemical. Also, this plant can survive in tough conditions. This could be of particular concern to cotton farmers using glyphosate-resistant cotton. The species Amaranthus palmeri causes the greatest reduction in soybean yields and has the potential to reduce yields by 17 to 68% in field experiments. Palmer amaranth is among the top 5 most troublesome weeds in the southeast of the United States and has already evolved resistances to dinitronelline herbicides and astolactate synthase inhibitors. This makes the proper identification of Amaranthus species at the seedling stage essential for agriculturalists. Proper weed control needs to be applied before the species successfully colonizes in the crop field and causes significant yield reductions. Seed saving: there are a multitude of varieties which cross with one another very easily. Some species have been found to cross with one another, for example Amaranthus caudatus and Amaranthus hypochondriacus. For most types, flowering occurs as the days become shorter. Being wind-pollinated, they will cross with one another if less than 400 meters apart at flowering time. If the seed is to be used for planting, roguing is necessary to remove inferior individuals before they can flower and pollinate better plants. The seed heads mature gradually from bottom to top, requiring harvesters to be selective when choosing plants for seed harvesting. Seed harvest is maximized by shaking the near-mature seed heads into a paper bag or onto a canvas. In large growing areas the heads are cut all at once when most of the seeds are ripe. Once the heads have fully ripened, they tend to drop their seeds, so harvesting is done just before this point. Heads are then dried for a week and threshed with gloved hands or feet on canvas as the chaff is somewhat prickly. Care is required not to lose the seeds when winnowing because the chaff and seeds are of similar size and the seeds are of a light weight. Heaping uncleaned seeds in a bowl and tossing them will concentrate the light debris on the top, and it can then blow away. The process is repeated until only seeds remain. Myth, legend and poetry: the word amaranth comes from the Greek word amaranton, meaning unwilting. The word was applied to amaranth because it did not soon fade and so symbolized immortality. Amarant is a more correct, albeit archaic form, chiefly used in poetry. The current spelling, amaranth, seems to have come from folk etymology that assumed the final syllable derived from the Greek word anthos, common in botanical names. An early Greek fable counted among Aesop's fables compares the rose to the amaranth to illustrate the difference in fleeting and everlasting beauty. An amaranth planted in a garden near a rose tree, thus addressed it, "What a lovely flower is the rose, a favorite alike with gods and with men. I envy you your beauty and your perfume." The rose replied, "I indeed, dear amaranth, flourish but for a brief season. If no cruel hand pluck me from my stem, yet I must perish by an early doom. But thou art immortal and dost never fade, but bloomest forever in renewed youth." In John Milton's epic Paradise Lost it is given a more fitting neighbor. Immortal amaranth, a flower which once, in paradise, fast by the tree of life, began to bloom. But soon for man's offense, to heaven removed, where first it grew, there grows, and flowers aloft, shading the fount of life, and where the river of bliss through midst of heaven, rolls o'er Elysian flowers her amber stream, with these that never fade the spirit's elect, bind their resplendent locks. Samuel Taylor Coleridge, in Work Without Hope, also refers to the herb, likely referencing Milton's earlier work. Yet well I ken the banks where amaranths blow, have traced the fount whence streams of nectar flow. Bloom, O ye amaranths! Bloom for whom ye may, for me ye bloom not. Glide, rich streams, away. Percy Bysshe Shelley refers to the herb in his poem Bereavement. Eternity points, in its amaranth bower, where no clouds of fate o'er the sweet prospect lure, unspeakable pleasure, of goodness the dower, when woe fades away like the mist of the heath. In his dialogue Aesop and Rhodope, published in 1844, Walter Savage Landor wrote, "There are no fields of amaranth on this side the grave, there are no voices, O Rhodope, that are not soon mute, however tuneful, there is no name, with whatever emphasis of passionate love repeated, of which the echo is not faint at last." Joachim du Bellay mentioned the herb in his Avow to Heavenly Venus, circa 1500. "We that with like hearts love, we lovers twain, new wedded in the village by thy fane, Lady of all chaste love, to thee it is, we bring these amaranths, these white lilies, a sign, and sacrifice. May love, we pray, like amaranthine flowers, feel no decay. Like these cool lilies may our loves remain, perfect and pure, and know not any stain. And be our hearts, from this thy holy hour, bound each to each, like flower to wedded flower." In the fourth book of Endymion, John Keats writes, "The spirit culls, unfaded amaranth, when wild it strays, through the old garden ground of boyish days." In ancient Greece, the amaranth was sacred to Ephesian Artemis. It was supposed to have special healing properties, and, as a symbol of immortality, was used to decorate images of the gods and tombs. In legend, Amaranthus was a hunter of Artemis and king of Euboea. In a village of Amaranthus, of which he was the eponymous hero, there was a famous temple of Artemis Amaranthia or Amarisia. It was also widely used by the Chinese for its healing chemicals, curing illnesses such as infections, rashes, and migraines. The amarantos is the name of a several-century-old popular Greek folk song. "Look at the amaranth, on tall mountains it grows, on the very stones and rocks, and places inaccessible." Images. References. Additional reading, Howard, Brian Clark. Amaranth, another ancient wonder food, but who will eat it? National Geographic Online, August 12, 2013. Lenz, Botanique der Alt. Greek und Rom. Botany of Old. J. Muir, Die Pflanzenalten der Grieche. Mill. Plants in Greek Mythology. Fanton M., Fanton J. Amaranth The Seed Saver's Handbook. External links, multilingual taxonomic information from the University of Melbourne, Grain Amaranth, Crops for a Future.